That would be me.
Look who we're hanging with.
Jason David Frank.
Boom shakalaka.
Please do not change channel.
Hello, World Wide Web, and everybody out at MegaCon. Welcome to the Hangin with Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter.
I'm Christian Basel.
And we are here at MegaCon 2018, Orlando, Florida. Having a good time, Christian?
I'm having a great time, man.
Fantastic.
This is awesome.
We have been interviewing artists, authors, filmmakers, cosplayers. Christian interviewed some girl in the hallway. We don't know who she is. I'm not sure how that worked out.
We're not going there.
Anyway.
But I did.
We're here right now, and in the chair, we're hanging with Andrea Molinari. Andrea, thanks for hanging with us, man. And comic artist Kyle Huston. Kyle, thanks for coming over, man.
No problem.
All right, guys. So, you are the creator of The Shepherd, and it's your art.
Yes.
You're the creator, you're the artist.
Yep.
Okay.
And it was a father-son team with Roberto Molinari's son, as well as Andrea.
Wow.
And I'm one of the featured artists, but it was a whole collaboration. The comic book features the work of 4 artists, each one basically doing the perspective of a different character.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was an amazing project to be a part of.
That's a very cool way to collaborate.
Yeah,
too. It is to break those characters down like that. So tell you what, give us like sort of the sales pitch for The Shepherd. Tell us about The Shepherd.
Okay, The Shepherd is a supernatural thriller. Straight up from the beginning, it's a ghost story.
Okay.
The oldest son of a family dies of a drug overdose. The family is shattered, as you would expect. In the wake of the funeral, the father begins to hear his son calling out to him from the other side. Something's gone terribly wrong. The son is not transitioned as he should in the afterlife. In his desperation, the father decides to take his own life and go after his son into the afterlife to try to save him. And that is basically, at the end of chapter 1, the 2 main characters are dead.
You dream dark, brother.
Absolutely.
Wow. As a dad, I'm telling you, you had me at son.
And it's a father and son collaboration.
It is.
I dreamed about my son, and when I woke up, it took me 2 days to get over the dream, the nightmare, to be able to tell him about it. When I did, he was determined that it was going to become a book.
Wow.
And so we ended up, after a long argumentation, we ended up working together to write up the story.
It's a dad. He says, I want to do this book. I want to do this thing. And the dad in you just kind of says, I don't want to revisit that dream.
His whole reaction was, the idea was cool. And I'm like, this is not cool.
Yeah,
There's nothing cool about you dying of a drug overdose. It's like the opposite of cool.
That's right. All the cool things that happen, that's not one of them.
This is not something you have at the family dinner.
No,
so I need to tell you something.
Let's tell a comic story.
Exactly.
Wow.
So by the chapter 1, the 2 main characters are in the afterlife, and that is really where the story takes place. Eventually, the father will in fact find the son. I'm not going to go into details, but that's where we get to the 2nd volume that Kyle is worked on us with, and it's called The Path of Souls. And basically what ends up happening with the shepherd and his son is they work with souls that have suffered some kind of trauma.
So you've taken the afterlife and created a worldscape.
Absolutely.
That is the afterlife.
Absolutely.
So all of our fantasy fans, all those guys out there, if you like things that take place in alternate worlds, with The Hobbit or whatever, this really is a ghost story and a fantasy at the same time, because you've created a worldscape for these guys to navigate through.
Absolutely.
Now, how many issues are involved?
Well, the one that Kyle worked on, there are 6 issues in that story.
Okay.
It's 183 pages, so there's a couple of the issues that are like 40 pages. So these are big chunks of story. And basically, what Kyle and I worked on with the Path of Souls was basically envisioning a hospital in the afterlife that worked with soldiers that were suffering from post-traumatic stress.
Okay.
And because see, my wife works for the VA.
I was going to say, is there a difficult to talk about issue that you didn't tackle?
We seem to deal with that. I mean,
you got dad issues when you have the kid dies of an overdose, and drug issues. You've got suicide issues. Dad's going to the afterlife.
Exactly.
Now you've got PTSD.
Right.
How long have you guys been off your meds?
You guys are great at
none that-
Thanksgiving. I'm really.
Wow.
No, but we've been making light, but at the same time, yeah, these are pretty heavy issues.
Yeah, they are.
And whereas the first volume is essentially a revenge story where the father's going out for those who kill his son. The second one, to be very clear, the heart of the story is kind of a treatise on PTSD. It's really about the warfare and the trauma suffered by soldiers
What
in warfare.
inspired that?
Yeah, so that's what we're working with.
What
It's a heavy
inspired you guys to
subject.
bring that?
Well, that's what I was saying is that my wife works for the VA.
Okay.
And she does post-traumatic stress counseling. In fact, she and several of her colleagues founded a foundation outside of Tampa in Odessa, Florida. It's called Warrior Mission at Ease, and it's at Quantum Leap Farms. And they do
Outstanding.
weekend retreats free for veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress.
Wow, that's
So
fantastic.
I'm hearing about that all the time.
We want to drop that link down below. We want you guys to go over and support that great cause.
Thank you.
As a veteran myself, I know how important it is. Sadly, we lose, I think they said it's down, which is still a horrible number. We lose 21 brothers a day.
Yeah.
And it's too many.
It's
One-
way
One
one's
is too
too
many.
many.
One is
Yeah.
too
One
many.
is too many.
Absolutely.
21 is just, for a small segment of the population, to have that kind of a rate is unheard of in any other, outside of, I think, the next nearest to us is, teens suffering from mental illness. And that's still a very distant second. So, thank you guys for telling that story. That's an amazing story to
it's-
tell. What do you want? I mean, this is obviously it's fantastic art. It's good story. It's at its core, it's entertainment. But the story that you're telling is also education.
Yeah.
What's the takeaway? What do you hope readers and comic lovers take away from these stories?
That the trauma from warfare can come in different forms. Each we have 4 different veterans that we focus on over the course of those 6 issues, and each has a personal, unique story to tell about how they got there. And just being able to talk more about PTSD, because for the majority of history, it hasn't even been a thing. It's
There's been a name for it in every conflict, and it's never
Shell
been
shock.
Shell shock. In the Vietnam era, my dad was diagnosed with what was an undescribed nervous disorder
Right.
from being on a Navy ship in the Tonkin Gulf, listening to shells just outside the.
If I remember correctly,
Tin can.
George Carlin had a bit about this where
Yeah.
it started as shell shock, and
Right.
as years progressed, they tried to,
And it's taken a long time.
they kind of
clinical-
softened the blow as far
Yeah,
as
as we've
practicing it.
been able to understand it better, and that's basically what we hope to accomplish with this comic. Is that it's just one more entry point for someone who isn't familiar with that, with PTSD, with the trauma of warfare, that they can somehow glimpse it. And
The first story, very personal story for you.
Sure.
But a lot of fun for your son. Get to mess with Dad's head.
Yeah.
Great things, right? This next series, okay, is a very deep issue. Is that something that's very personal for you as well?
Very much so. My father grew up in Italy during World War II, and he was in Genoa, which is in the north, that never fell to the Allies. And Genoa was a major naval port, so they were bombarded all the time. Years after the fact, he came back to the city, and he passed a door frame, and my brother, I was not there, but my younger brother was, he said he began to tremble, and he reached out and touched the door frame, and it took him a while to get my father to say what it was, but there had been a last-minute air raid, and my father had taken shelter as a little boy in that door frame, and he said he could see the British Spitfires coming in as they were strafing, and he could see the face of the pilot, and he thought he was going to die in that door. And 40, 50 years later, that door frame had that kind of power
These are
over
really
him.
deep stories.
Very deep stories.
Okay.
Yeah. And
We're
understand
not-
this.
we're not afraid to do a gut punch.
Absolutely.
No doubt. No doubt. As an artist, and then as a creator and a writer putting this stuff together, what made you choose the medium of comic creation?
I'm going to let you answer that one.
I mean, because there's so many
if
visual
you're
ways
talking
to
about
represent
me
these
personally
art
about
things,
like
yeah.
comics and stuff, is that I'm really big into narratives, storytelling, and I'm a very visual person. So for me, comics was always just the natural medium for me ever since I was a
Storyboard,
kid.
these kinds of
Yeah, storyboard, whether it's storyboarding or comics, sequential art being the academic term. Yeah, just literally telling a story with pictures in a lot of ways can be the most efficient way. The fewer words, it's not the same as, say, a book. The fewer words, the better oftentimes.
Well, I think when a lot of people out there on the web associate comic art, they almost get campy in their heads. A lot of bang and pow and wham. These are subjects that are. I actually can't wait to see more art from you guys, to see how visually stunning it is. Telling this kind of a story with art is, brother, you got a gift.
Hey, thank you.
That's amazing.
He does. He's going to be working for the big guys someday. I've told him from the beginning.
Guys, he's waiting.
I have told him from the beginning
Not
that
until
there will
after
be a
this
day when
series
I
is
cannot
done, we
afford
want
him,
this.
because he'll be hauling down the big money from the big guys. So, but he is a gifted artist, and not only that, but he's a good human being. And the dialogue that we've had
Have you
in the process.
Have you enjoyed writing and creating in a short form as opposed to long form novelizations or things
I've
like
done
that?
both, so
Okay.
I can tell you that I really love the graphic novels as the format. As what Kyle was saying is very important. Saying as little as possible, and then letting his art speak to your soul, and
Well, it's
me
a true
giving you
collaboration. You tell them what they need to be told,
Right.
and then you show it to them.
Brevity is the soul of wit. That's
Yes.
for me. That's comics in a nutshell. It's
fantastic.
very efficient storytelling.
I think this is
and
the
it gets right
deepest.
to the heart of the
I
matter.
think this is the deepest interview we've ever had in our entire life.
I'll tell you what, it is.
We've
It's
got
fantastic.
feels
It's always
all
great
over.
to talk to creative artists about their art and why you do it and how you do it. So where are you guys headed from here? Where are you guys going next? What's coming up next for you guys?
Well, I go to a con, at least one con a month. And what's coming up immediately, there's the Space Con in Fort Myers. And then from there, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, and both those are in June. And then July, SuperCon down in Fort Lauderdale.
Awesome.
Beginning of August, I'll be in Tampa. And then September, Cincinnati and Grand Rapids in November. Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Fantastic.
This is our debut con for this new volume.
Absolutely.
So we're just going to be promoting.
Well, I know all
promoting,
we
selling,
really
selling.
had, we had the VIP and special guests earlier, and then we just opened for general admission. Down there at the table, what are you hearing, guys? Our fans stopping by, are they liking it?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now is people are really reacting viscerally to his art, which is no surprise because I've done this since we started working together. His art has a very, it's like a power and a life of its own, and there's he plays with dark and light. A lot of.
I like my spot blacks. Heavy spot blacks.
Yeah. Wow.
Silhouettes. That's
To
what I like.
describe his art style, I would say one of the things we liked, my son and I liked from the beginning, is that his art style is similar to Mike Mignola. So if you're used to
Well,
Hellboy,
I see a lot of Mignola.
See a lot of that influence there.
Yeah. Yeah, for the longest time, what I was honestly trying to do, this had to do with that whole, efficient storytelling, brevity, and silhouette. For a little while, my whole goal was just to flatten my art. I just wanted to, I like the idea of being authentic with a medium. It's a flat, two-dimensional, sequential art medium, and I just embraced that to the nth degree. And Mignola, he has a really, he helped unify my visual language to that end.
That's fantastic, man. We'd love to know what inspired you guys. We'd love to know about your stories. We're going to drop links down below so that everybody who watches the interview can check out where you guys can be found online. They can come by, they can stalk you, tell you what they think of the art, be traumatized by the drawings, and
already
the stories.
traumatized right now. I'm
That's
just
right.
like, this is
Vincent
deep stuff.
Vincent is catching his
This is good
breath.
stuff.
That is
Deep
deep
good
stuff.
stuff.
We are so glad that we got to talk to Andrea Molinari and comic artist Kyle Huston. These are the guys responsible for The Shepherd. And what's the next series?
the next series is actually called The Shepherd, The Path of Dogs, was also
The Path of Dogs.
Path of Dogs.
Wow. Guys, check these things out online. We're going to drop links down below. She's going to make me say thank you to my partners and friends so that I can go, so I'm going to do that. Thank you so much to Something Unique Magazine, Famous Faces and Funnies, Krypton Radio, Off the Chain Radio without the Ribbon Mason, Space Coast Comics, the Asylum Convention Entertainment Services Company for helping us get into MegaCon here, and of course to our friends at MegaCon over at Fan Expo for letting us share the floor with you guys. sharing, you know, the best part about being an artist is the people we share the journey with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for hanging with us for just a few minutes. Everybody out there on the web, subscribe, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next.
Yeah.